essentially these all psychological problems. That's what they are, and they've been intergenerational and cross-cultural in terms of the African diaspora. Even like, let's say like juju or witchcraft and whatnot, that thing has been demonized, right? But if you were to look into it yourself, do you think that you might actually learn something about it that you didn't know, which would make you more open to it? Simple, like I am was just.
Sorry, I can't keep.
What?
The only reason I laugh is because you say I am, but that's what God says I am.
Yeah. What do you think of that? Do you think that's blasphemy? Intersectionality, which just means that there are multiple disadvantages, forces of disadvantage that African women do experience.
Welcome to Inspire Others. My name is Glory Matoto. I am the host of Inspire Others. I want to welcome you to another episode of Inspire Others, a place where you get inspired and also empowered you to inspire others. We always try to create a platform where we can be able to talk to change makers and also to people who are making a difference in our community and also in our societies. We have started this journey to really be able to uplift the voices and also to be able to amplify the voices of people who are creating change and people who are definitely doing something, here in Brisbane or here in Queensland. And today I have my friend, the one and only Peter Sambia. Please welcome Peter Sambia. How are you doing, bro?
I'm doing quite well. Very excited for this, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for those who do not know who Peter Sambia is, who is Peter Sambia?
Honestly, just somebody who's always trying to be of positive contribution to people, whether that's on an individual level or on a much bigger level. So in any way that I can contribute, it's something that I always just aspire towards.
Indeed. And you've had a couple of, I guess, the chance to work in the professional industries in terms of fashion, and also you've worked along other brands. Like, for example, I know that you worked with Solomon, right? So if we might maybe be able to start for someone who doesn't know what Peter has done here in Brisbane, can you give them a bit of a brief, let's say, a background, or how did you find yourself in Brisbane and things that you've been able to do in the fashion industry and also in different areas as well?
Yeah, definitely. So most people will know me because of Praema, and Praema is essentially a platform that existed to be able to create a space for emerging creators to have industry access and opportunities. So industry level access and opportunities. And this really just came from a place of just acknowledging or recognizing that there was a gap in terms of that there was an underserved market. And these people were the young, underground, edgy, raw, authentic people, the Gen Zs. And these were people who were very talented, and these were people who were very gifted, but they just essentially didn't have a platform where their work or who they are as people could actually just be publicized on a recognizable platform that was reputable and that was at an industry standard. And that's where Praema came in. He wanted to be able to provide that platform for those people, and as a result of that, we held fashion shows. Our first fashion show was a multicultural fashion show where it really focused on shining light on the indigenous designers and the indigenous art and indigenous work within Brisbane, across Australia, actually, because we had designers across Australia. Across Australia. We had designers in Perth, and we also had designers in Sydney as well. And no, I don't think we had designers in Melbourne at that time. And our first show was pretty much just a multicultural fashion show, but it's still focused on that young demographic, those people who aren't being seen at Brisbane Fashion Festival. those people who aren't being seen at Brisbane Fashion Month. So, and Praema came forth to be able to give them the platform to be seen at the same caliber, and it was a very, very successful show. People loved it. I think even till this day, some people say that it's still their favorite show. Yeah. Even though that it was the smallest event that we did put on, smallest show that we did put on in terms of just budget, and production and number of people. It was still one that they remember. And then from there on, we had our first streetwear fashion show, which was huge. And we had the opportunity to work with both Culture Kings and Foot Locker and Puma as well. And this was an outdoor event with, it had about, I honestly say probably about like 500 people in total that was there, from the models, the staff, event attendees. And yeah, it was a very, very great show. And then from there we had our third show, which was, the production was even bigger in that regard. The numbers were slightly smaller. I think maybe we would have had about 300 people in total. But that was just due to venue capacity. But it was a very, very good show. Yeah. And I think till today it's probably my favorite in terms of production, just because all the lighting that we had and all the visuals were just really, really, really cool. And in between that, we had industry nights, which was the whole idea behind the industry nights was essentially to now connect aspiring creatives with established creatives and be able to create a space for that creative exchange, so where people can be able to learn from each other and be able to network. And we had people such as Nikki Mann, who is the founder of Everybody Modeling Agency. We also had individuals like Samuel Lobichiaro, who is a designer and founder and owner of Figures of Speech, which is a high-end luxury clothing brand based here in Brisbane. I actually shouldn't say a clothing brand. He likes to go as a what's the term? It's
a creator, or
no. It's I think they call it a design house or something like that. Yeah, I could be wrong, Samuel. I'm really, really sorry, and also to the greater fashion and creative community, I'm really, really sorry as well if I'm getting it wrong. Yeah,
it happens.
And we also had an individual as well. What's his name? His last name is Olufemi. Yeah,
that sounds nice.
Joshua. Yeah, Joshua Olufemi. He's based in.
Is he Ghanaian?
No, he wasn't Ghanaian actually, and I'm not too sure if he was Nigerian either. But he's based in US now. He's huge on YouTube. He has big followings on YouTube, and he does videography at a very high level. So where he's worked with, you can think of some of the celebrity music artists, such as T-Pain, such as Chris Brown as well. So we had him on one of our panels as well, and some other really amazing creatives based in Brisbane who are doing who were or who are doing really great things in terms of just the creative space in Brisbane. Yeah.
So it might not interfere with the sound. So in saying that, so in saying that, how have you seen? Because I remember there's a time when you sent pretty much everyone who you followed or everyone who was following you a message asking them about what do they see as the thing that is missing in the fashion space here in Queensland. What was your finding when you did a bit of research? Yeah,
honestly, it's based on the market research. It was simply the fact that there is a group of people who are talented and have a passion and love for this space, for the fashion space and the creative space, that are underserved. Mm-hmm. It's really that simple. And underserved could even look like on the scale of something that's publicized on a grand scale,
right?
To the level of, let's say, Brisbane Fashion Festival, mm-hmm. right? it's just underserved. Those people are not given the same level of those people weren't given the platform to the level that some of these established platforms existed. And some of the fashion shows which did exist and do exist were lackluster. In other terms, just meaning that they didn't appeal to that demographic. Because it wasn't as exciting. It wasn't as captivating for them. Like Brisbane Fashion Festival, for an example, you'll see a lot of older people attending those shows, and these are individuals who are well established within their career and they have money, and it's pretty much just friends catching up to some extent. It does give great opportunity though to aspiring models and aspiring creatives, but just the show itself, it doesn't necessarily appeal to that younger demographic that who are a bit more edgy, who are a bit more just raw, who are a bit more maybe grungy as well. It just didn't appeal to those people. And even the same thing as well with the Brisbane Fashion Month. It's the exact same thing that I saw across that. Now, there was a platform that did serve that space or that community, and that was Brisbane Fashion Week. Now, to the extent to which they did it, I'm not too sure, but those people definitely did contribute to that space. And part of that reason is because the people who were running it, their outlook and the worldview was probably in more of a similar alignment to that demographic, to that community as well. So, and the other thing as well that discovered is that Brisbane's creative or fashion industry, the market is small.
So is it best to call it creative than fashion? Were you looking at both creative?
I was looking at both because I wanted to serve both. Fashion was the medium, or fashion was the medium, and then everything else is pretty much revolved around that. Because through the fashion shows, we were able to hold fashion shows at a level where it could be able to allow for dancers, for music artists to perform, and then obviously models, and then designers, and then photographers, videographers, content creators. So, and then graphic designers, visual editors, what do you call those people? Set design as well. Yeah, so it allowed for so many different creative skills to be concentrated onto one major production by just serving so many that is so dynamic and so comprehensive. So fashion was the means, fashion was the appeal, fashion was the focal point. But I tried to see how I could be able to serve the wider creative community as much as I could based on what Praema could be able to facilitate through its events.
Yeah. So with Praema, I used to involve with it.
So Praema hasn't produced any outputs since its last show in 2023. Currently, and he doesn't plan to do anything for just a little while longer. So there is a new vision that I do have for Praema, and which is what it is that I'm quietly working on at the moment. So I guess I am still involved in Praema, but right now it's me, and that's solely just because of what it is that I'm wanting to conceptualize for its future. Yeah,
like I think how it came about was because you're the co-founder, right, of Praema. So it was like a mutual coming together. How did it sort of start? Because we have a lot of people who are aspiring to be to start their own fashion. I don't think you would call it. It's not a fashion. It's not a fashion show or a fashion brand. What would you describe from Praema as?
Honestly, I probably provide it as it's a platform.
It's just a platform, yeah. So
it's a platform that wanted to serve its people, because it saw that its people is people were great and talented, and they deserve to have something that would be able to recognize them. That's really what it is. Yeah.
So in saying that, for someone who is aspiring to get into the fashion show or into the fashion industry or the creative industry, what advice would you give to them, like getting started? Like what sort of challenges are they gonna see, and how should they deal with it, and what kind of things did you learn along your journey with the Praema?
Yeah. The challenges that you will see, and one that you will realize, is that the creative market is small, and the creative economy is also small as well. But it doesn't not mean that there isn't money in it, because along the way, that's how I thought. I thought that it was small, it was too small, and then it'd be really difficult to be able to make some serious money. To some regard, that is true. However, there are still people who are winning. Like Moon Boy Studios, for an example, which is a production house. So, and then when you look at them and ask yourself, what is it that makes them stand out? It's simply the fact that they are focused and they know exactly what they can offer. And there is a market that does exist for what it is that they can offer. So you have to know what it is that you want and what it is that you do want to also be able to offer within the creative space. And niche, you have to define your niche and focus on that niche and see how you can be able to provide an offer that will be able to pretty much just help you win. So help you make money, that will be able to make you make money. That definition is very, 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 it's very critical that you define exactly what it is that you're wanting to offer. And it's also very, very critical that you define the exact problem that you are wanting to solve as well. Because if you can solve a problem, you create value. And simple maths, money always comes to where value is. So, yeah, that's honestly the thing that I would say that to people, if you genuinely want to be able to get into this space, understand the environment of the market, understand how it works, and see what it is you want to position yourself within that space. And then look at the ones who are doing well and see what they're doing, why they are doing well, how are they doing well, and who are they doing well with, in terms of who are the type of people that are paying them, who are they making money with. It's really, really important to be able just to understand all of that, just how all these different parts are playing in and working for you to be able to have a full scope of what's going on, and in order for you to be able to actually see what you can be able to do within the space. And I think with Praema, part of its success is simply because that work was done, and identifying and defining what the problem was that it was trying to solve. That's what I would say definitely did make Praema become what Praema has become to people, and here in Brisbane as well.
So nowadays, I think you are not doing so much. I think in terms of the space of working with Praema and doing the fashion. I don't know if you're still in the fashion world. Like, are you still working with other industry and I guess creators?
No, so yeah, I'm not working in the fashion space in terms of producing. Right now, it's more of expression for me. So what that means is, like, I still like fashion.
All right.
The Melbourne Fashion Festival that I went to in March with my friends, we literally just decided to dress up in suits, just black suits. So these are the type. So these are the type of ways that I
think Frank was there as well.
Exactly, yeah. Frank was there.
Frank.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get him on the interview.
Yeah, he will be. Yeah, he'll be somebody that you should talk to. But yeah, that's the type of ways that now I'm going about fashion. It's just kind of expression, and I'm also seeing myself actually delving quite deeply into African fashion. So learning a lot about African designers who are from the continent, or who are living who are living abroad. So that's something that I've really just been prioritizing a lot, and just seeing kind of just the work that some of our brothers and sisters that are doing out there in the world, which is really, really amazing as well. Yeah, that's kind of where I am at the moment. And in terms of production, it's something that I definitely still plan on doing. Like there's a shoot that me and my friend are planning right now in Melbourne that we're going to be doing in late October, and we're going to be wearing African attire, so like African style, African fashion. I'm really, really excited for that, because it's just stuff that it's amazing, and I feel as though that we as African people just should be able to embrace that, and I want to be able to show off some of these amazing African designs.
What are the fashion designs that you've been looking in terms of coming from Africa, so the African space?
To be honest, it's more just, it's not right now. It's not specific. It's more of just I want to know what does exist, and who's doing it, and what it looks like. That's really, really what it is for me at the moment. Even as well, the West is even incorporating and interlacing a lot of the African, let's say, design themes into their current collections.
Right.
Obviously, we know the whole Ghana to go bag situation, where Louis Vuitton
Ghana to what?
Ghana to go bag.
No, I haven't said it.
No, you would know the bag. Let me you know those plastic bags that we have like for moving.
The plastic bag.
Yeah.
Not the
Ghana must go bags. These ones.
Oh yeah, these ones I know.
Yeah.
Them, yeah.
Yeah.
Just maybe show it to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, they're very. Yes, they're even very popular in Nigeria and stuff. Okay,
but these things have existed for a long time. But here's the thing, right? Louis Vuitton has created their own. And guess how much they're selling it for?
How much?
3,000. I have like 20 of these at home right now.
Wow, me too, man. Even
right?
They're full in our garage.
Yeah, bro, they're so strong. They're so durable. And yeah, now it's becoming a fashion piece here in the West. You know, so
it's like for clothing and stuff.
Well, yeah, it's becoming yeah, it's like Louis Vuitton had decided to slap the logo on it, and then now sell it for 3,000. I don't know if it's $3,000 or pounds, but it's expensive. Yeah, yeah. Nevertheless, it's expensive.
Really expensive. Everything that's Louis Vuitton pretty much as their name on
it.
Goes.
But the point is, like, this is what the West is doing. They are incorporating and interlacing African themes within their collections and their designs. There is another one, Daily Paper as well, was started by two friends from East Africa. They've interlaced some African elements into their designs, but it's mostly Western culture in terms of just it's predominantly Western culture, but they have interlaced some of the African elements into their designs as well, which is cool. And I think there's another one called Toro. She's designed for Beyonce, for one of Beyonce's performances as well. So there's a lot of African designers who are doing really, really cool stuff fashion wise, and whilst maintaining the African style themes within the designs that they are producing here in the Western world. So,
do you know any here in Brisbane or here in Australia?
Well, Solomon is the best that I've seen so far here in Australia.
Solomon, by the way.
Yeah,
I've known the guy for a while, since Red Bank.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So he's the number. Yeah, he's the best that I've seen so far. This is Solomon Javia, in terms of an African designer that has incorporated African elements. Even his show that he did in, I think it was 2022. or 2021. It was a show that I did in West End, and it's called the Red Hand Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was very, very powerful. And the whole concept behind it was because I think the story was that in Congo, people's right or left hand was cut off.
Yeah, during the colonization.
Yeah, exactly.
Like King Leopold, yeah.
Yeah, that was a very, very powerful piece, and he even ended up actually cutting his hand as well with a knife. Yeah, the things that creators will go to the extent that creators will go to.
That's still art though, like
that is art, 100%. Do you think different?
I thought because it's in the fashion sense, I guess you gotta make everything look pretty or good, you know.
Says who? But like at the same time, who says what pretty is? It's subjective, right?
Okay.
So the thing that I love about fashion is there's no limits.
There's no limit, yeah.
Like literally, there's no limits. Some of the fashion shows that I've seen come out from Europe over the past years you think it's ridiculous. Yeah, for an example, like
I've seen
pretty much people 69, like in the 69 position, but walking on a runway. You know, like some of the ridiculous things.
I've seen people walking around with trampolines or like
exactly plastic bags. Yeah,
like
this is the one thing I love about fashion. Some of it is definitely questionable, but
it's very debatable. It's like, come on.
But it's fashion. Like this is the thing I love about fashion. There's honestly no limits. It's so powerful. Just like with any art piece, whether it's music, actual art such as painting, and fashion, you can be able to tell stories. You can be able to revolutions can come from that. You can there's so much powerful messaging that can be interlaced into art. And that's powerful. It really, really is powerful.
Okay, let's talk about the person, you yourself as the person. I try to think of it more of I think who Peter Sambia is, right? Apart from the fashion and everything, who is the person like behind all that? Who is the person? Because I believe we don't find identity in based on what we do. And the reason why I asked this is because I think the first time I met you, of course, it was I think at the library, at the USQ library, and I was thinking to myself, oh hey, I know Peter Sambia from the fashion thing. And then for me now, talking about my personal life is over the past few weeks, right? Because I'm a nurse by profession, right? I'm a nurse by profession, and that's what I've been doing, or pretty much the last 6 years or so during my degree learning. And then I went through a period where I was like, I wasn't doing anything related to nursing. I just came back and I was trying to find work. And then I was asking myself, like, apart from me being a nurse, like, what's something that defines me? Who am I? And I want to ask is, apart from the fashion and everything, who is Peter Sambia behind everything? And to dive a little bit into my own story, because I'm a nurse by profession, right? And that's what I've been doing for the last about 6 years or so, from studying and now working in the profession. And then when I was away from the field, like for about 3 or 4 months or so, I started asking myself the question, who am I? Apart from being a nurse, who am I? And I'll probably say for now ask you the question, because for me, this is what I learned. I was like, even without a career, let's say I wasn't able to become a nurse, or I wasn't able to be a nurse, who would I still be able to associate myself with? If you've already spent such a long time in the certain thing, everyone, how they introduce you to be like, oh, Glory is works in the nursing industry. And then if you were away from that field, who are you then? Do you lose your identity? Is your identity based on that? And I think what most people know you from is fashion. Now you're sort of moving into different areas. You're doing this and this. Where do you still find your identity? And believe it or not, Peter Sambia used to play rugby, which is the craziest thing, you know. But where do you find yourself, for example, your identity in?
If I understand correctly, I think the question that that you're asking me is, what is core of me, regardless of what it is that I'm doing.
Yes.
And the best way that I can answer that is by simply saying I am. It's really is that simple.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
like
ahead.
it really is that simple. Like I am. Was just
Sorry, I can't keep.
what?
The only reason I laugh is because you say I am, but that's what God says I am. That I am.
Yeah. What do you think of that? Do you think that's blasphemy?
No. So you tell me what's maybe your full answer to that, then I will.
Yeah. Look, it's I am just simply means that I am all that I can be and want to be and will be. It's just simply what that means. Like everything that is me. Everything that I everything that I want to do, like it's me.
Right.
The thing is, like, there's a difference between identity and knowing who you are. There is a difference.
Break that down a little bit.
Identity is essentially the things in which people identify you by. So right now, we're talking about my identity as the founder or event manager or managing director of Praema. That's one identity. I also have an identity as well of the fact that I'm a brother and that I'm a friend and that I'm a son. Right? These are all different identities.
All right.
This is the resume to identify who we are, who that person is within the environment,
All right.
within the context, within the circumstances, within the world.
Yeah.
But who you are is something a little bit more different to that. It's something that's transcendent. It's intangible. And there's no particular way in which you can be able to limit that beingness of who you are to a specific identity or to one identity, because it's much more it's much more dimensional than that.
Okay.
Now, people sometimes will say, I am like this or this person is like that. We need to be able to distinguish between patterns and behaviors versus the actual soul of the person, right?
Yes.
So Dr. Miles Monroe said that the mind is made up of some, what did he say? The mind is the will and emotions of someone. And I think, sorry?
So I think there's a third one.
Yeah, there is a third one. I just can't remember what the third one is. I don't know if it's the soul. I can't remember. The will, the mind, and emotions. Sorry, the soul. That's the one. Yeah, the soul is made up of the will, the mind, and the emotions. Right? We can't, like, all of those things, we can't necessarily comprehend them in a way that we can, let's say, hold onto them and grasp onto them entirely. We can't. But they did show up through the physical world. They do. But who we are who we are in terms of just our beingness in that intangible space, I don't think it's something that we can necessarily define, because I don't think we can generally be able to grasp it. We can experience it, we can express it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I am a founder of Praema and that's the totality of who I am. It's not. Or that I play rugby league or used to play rugby league. It doesn't necessarily mean that. So that's why I say that I am, because it just means that I am my beingness. Like I just am. Yeah, I am. I am everything that I am, and I'm everything that I'm not.
Okay, so you're everything that you are, and you're everything that you're not.
Yeah.
Well, everything that you're not. What is that, though?
I guess the things that I'm not.
You know?
like I know it's a look, like it's a difficult concept to try and articulate. in a way that can be easy to grasp the conceptualization of it. Like, I will admit that, but it's the best answer that I can say. Like, maybe I can say the things, maybe if I say the things which I aspire towards and that I aim towards, that might help for people to understand the way that I orientate myself.
Right.
So, number one being that I'm a deep thinker and I'm intellectually curious. So I enjoy intellectual conversations that discuss esoteric subjects thoroughly. I really, really do. And
what are some of the prime examples? Like,
a recent dialogue that I have been having is I've been exploring, I guess, let's say capitalism in terms of.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
But, hey,
yeah.
let's dive into it. And I mean, we have time, you know.
In terms of just what it is in respect to, I guess, the people who are not part of the elite to the world, how we are subjected in relationship to capitalism. A recent assessment that I just did was exploring globalization through some of the sociological paradigms which consist of systemic structuring, functional structuralism, conflict theory, and symbolic interaction.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then the one that I was the paradigm that I was looking at globalization through was conflict theory. So the conflict theory, the whole concept of it is essentially that there are scarce resources and there's this battle between people or between groups of people to be able to garner these resources, right? But the reality of the situation is the elite and the corporations control like 90%, control and own and have access to 90% of the resources that do exist. So resources mean, it can mean political influence.
Yeah.
It can mean access to wealth or actually having wealth.
Yeah.
It can also mean like hard resources such as minerals, and it can also mean like health as well, right? Like all of these things, all of the resources that's within society in order for society to function. And yeah, so essentially, I was analyzing globalization through that sociological paradigm, conflict theory, and it's simply what it is. It's just that globalization, as much as it is beneficial in terms of interconnectedness and then being able to sharing resources and ideas and technology and whatnot, it also does have its downside, which is a simple fact that there are people who are exploited. Like here in Australia, the rural communities where indigenous people live and have claims to the lands, mining is conducted there. It's a hotspot for mining. And then ever since the first settlers came to the country, indigenous people have been dispossessed of their lands. And for the sake of global capitalism, those lands are mined. And all the money which these corporations get, not much of it, if anything, little of it is going to the people who occupy those lands and who, I guess, let's say, originally actually owned those lands as well. Whereas these companies are making billions, like crazy money. And at the same time as well, a lot of Australia's wealth is built on the exploitation of its minerals. But who owns all of those? Who owns all of these corporations, all these companies? It's offshore companies.
I think they say like about 70 or 80% of them are like Chinese owned.
Exactly. So a lot of it is owned by transnational organizations, and because they have so much, I guess, money here within the country, it also gives them the access to be able to influence things on a political level, on a policy making level, to their benefit. And then obviously the people that bear this is people like you and I, the working class. And the people who get the worst of it are the indigenous people of this country and the lower class that's below the working class as well, you know? So those are some of the things that I recently kind of been looking into. And then there's some philosophical aspects as well that I will want to explore, such as spirituality and let's say Christianity, just kind of understanding these things and engaging in, I guess, certain dialogues about them, and whether it's sexism as well. Just the subjects that are discussed within society. I like being able to look at them on a much, I guess, deeper level, and just engaging in conversations about them as well.
When you spoke about capitalism, like, I think what we understand of it is most of the Western culture, even other, apart from the Western culture, it's pretty much all around the world where capitalism is more popular than anything else. And well, people might argue and be like, okay, capitalism, it rewards, those who are really working hard. I mean, if you are the one who is, creating all these other different things, you should be given more. Do you think, now this is just a question, right? It's just a question out of nowhere. Like, do you think that's the right way to go? Or because you said that you're interested in that space, what do you think about capitalism? Do you agree with its concepts, or since you've been looking through it, do you agree with its concepts, and what do you learn from it? Or do you have other means? I mean, capitalism, socialism, I don't know.
I think that capitalism does have its utility, and it definitely does, to some extent, equalize the possibility or the chances for somebody to be able to make something of themselves or make something for themselves. Yeah. It definitely does that. Capitalism as well has proven that it is the most effective way for anyone to be able to come out of poverty.
Yeah.
During the times of, let's say, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, during those times, capitalism wasn't where it is now within the world. And even like going even a little bit further back from there as well, it actually really wasn't. But it has grown to become this beast that it is. And this beast that it currently is, it exists by exploiting others. It's really what that is. That's how capitalism works. You have to be able to get something somewhere really, really cheap or for nothing, and then sell it at a higher price. It's just to make things simple. Yeah. That's really what it is. So I think that it does have utility, but I think capitalism is something that needs to be controlled, because we see and are experiencing when it's not controlled, there's no limit to it, because it's how much money can you make. It's almost like it's a rhetorical question, because if you're gonna try and answer the question how much money you can make, well, then you should as well ask yourself how many numbers are there? Like what's the limit that you can count to? It's non-existent pretty much. It's infinity, right? So, and capitalism is a beast that will just keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. So if it's something that is not watched, if it's something that's not controlled, then it really does become what it currently is, and it's just getting worse as well. Now, the other thing as well about capitalism is that I'm trying to understand is, what do you want to do with all of this power? Like that's the one thing I don't understand.
Powers in terms of
Well, when you have all the money in the world, when you have all the resources, when you have all this data on people, when you control media and government, and you can bend these policies to your favor or edit them, let's say, to your favor. Like for what reason? We can say to control, yeah, but why?
Because everyone is fighting to be able to control. I mean,
but why?
Media is the biggest influencer of people. You want to control what people can think and what they are doing. Because
of course, but like we know these things though, right? But the question is why? Like why? And I'm not saying I have an answer, and I'm not posing the question for you to answer it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this is what I'm thinking about. Like why? Like like when you have everything, to what end? Like I try to imagine myself, like if I was in that position, like I honestly don't know what they're like. I would get bored. I'd honestly get bored having just so much power in that type of level. I'd get bored. But yeah, like yeah, so that's my thoughts about capitalism. It has been proven though that a communist society actually would be best. The only problem with that though is it's heavily reliant on the government.
How did we get into this conversation? Okay.
Well, you asked me like, what is it that I like and what is it that I'm doing?
I'm very much interested in.
A lot of this as well is it's I guess ever since I identify as a Pan-Africanist now, or regard myself as a Pan-Africanist, and I've been doing a lot of research into that as well. So,
what have you found out? Like,
honestly, it's nothing new. Like, it's nothing that we don't know. It's just more that I'm now just wanting to understand the details of it, of how it came to be. So instead of it being, just what people, just word of mouth and so on, so forth and so forth, and what we've been told based about our own history, I'm actually wanting to know what our own actually history is through our own perspective as the African people. So, yeah,
what does it mean to be a Pan-Africanist for you?
For me, my definition of Pan-Africanism is essentially everything African for the African by the African people. That's really what it means for me.
It's not exclusion though.
I will say that it did start out like that. But I probably just was birthed from a place of anger and hatred, and it's kind of like how can they do this to us, why the hell did they do this to us type of thing. But it's whereas right now I've definitely been able to integrate those emotions a lot better. And how I see it is just prioritizing. Do you need to just prioritizing just African people's agendas and the African people. So some of the ways that I'm doing that now is I'm engaging in community affairs in Brisbane, and I'm wanting to contribute and actually build, and I want to contribute to the establishment and stabilization of the African community here in Australia. That's what I'm interested in now. Yeah.
So being a Pan-Africanist in that space, what are some of the ideas that you currently think of? Like maybe also examples would be good of things that you are looking at and you're like, oh, we need to be able to change in the way that we look into that. How can we Pan-Africanist? I mean, how can we change it into a product or an idea that can benefit an African in that sense?
Yeah. To be honest, to keep it simple, I think the number one thing, and it was also our biggest problem, is we need to simply organize ourselves. An example, one of my friends, Frau, Ethiopian gentleman who started his buyer's agency. He's doing very well for himself. And more power to him as well, because he deserves everything he worked for. There's people like him who have money, they're competent in what they do, and they are good people. They are good men and they are good women. That's an individual level.
Right.
And then there's many other brothers and sisters out there as well in the same regard, or could be making more money, have more status, whatever. On the individual level, we're okay. And then obviously there's athletes as well. But as a people, we're not okay. We're not organized. We're not organized at all. We can't come together, collectively correlate ourselves towards one agenda, one vision, and work towards that collectively. And there's so many factors that contribute to it as well. One I would say is ego, pride, different beliefs. For an example, one person may say, well, that person is Muslim. We don't share, we don't see things eye to eye. So as a result, I'm going to remove myself from this situation. One person may be like, oh, this person is, I don't know, a Dinka or Fujulu or Choli. These are South Sudanese tribes. We don't associate with those type of people. And yes, it's not overt, but there are subliminal effects. There are subliminal aspects that do play. And you may not necessarily be tribalistic, because that will probably apply more to our parents and the older generation. But with us, as like in terms of like you or my age, ego and pride is definitely something that does play into it. It definitely is something that is there. And I don't know where that comes from entirely yet, but it's something that definitely does hinder us. And then the whole thing as well, just being able to unite on one vision. Yeah. It's so many different. There's a lot of people that have started things or wanting to do things their way, which actually serves the same outcome. Yeah. But sometimes people just, I guess, don't want to be working with somebody else because they want to do it their way, or they want to be the one who did it. There's a competition in between other Africans. Exactly, yeah.
Someone who feels like, oh, I should be seen better than that person. I'm more higher. Yeah. I have more numbers than them,
Well, yeah, and I don't know what it is about this wanting to be seen aspect. Like, I really don't know. But those are some of the things that will make it difficult for us. It's not impossible, but it will make it difficult for us. Like with me, one thing that I think is that if I'm ever to be in a position, when I am in a position of, I guess, leading the wider African community, religion is something that I want to be left out the door, because that will cause more problems than it will actually create any solutions.
What I've learned though about that is religion can be used to bring someone down, or to uplift someone, or to bring someone down. And I think it's negatively used in a lot of cases, because one of the biggest things is someone who use their religion be like, oh, my religion says that you are not supposed to be doing this.
That's exactly my point. Yeah.
But for me, how I see it as my religion is something that helps me to be able to figure out a lot of things in life. And I think what I put that number one aspect to is what I learned from the good book. What does the book tell me, like in terms of how to live my life, how to treat others? But someone will use the same Bible and say, you know what? You are not supposed to. I mean, it was used through slavery. This is not the beginning of it, or this is not something that we are only thinking now. But everyone, it's mostly about what's your intentions. Someone might use the Bible to bring someone down and say, you know what? The Bible tells me that children obey your parents, and then they'll use that to manipulate their kids. But clearly, it also says in the same way, okay, parents as well, don't provoke your kids. So it's up to people's interpretation, and I think that's when people sort of lose the meaning of our words, and also they lose the intentions of why the thing was written. There's cultures that exist. Both Christians and Muslims are living in the same country, and they're coexisting as brothers and sisters. One prime example is Tanzania. Tanzania is we can say there's a big majority which is there's a big portion which is Muslim, and then there's another big portion which is Christian, but they don't tend to politicize it. They say, you know what, according to what the Bible says, it says this. According to what Islam says, the Quran says, it says this. But to lead our country forward, we shouldn't now be trying to say which religion is more high, and that's why it's killing a lot of people.
That's exactly my point. My whole thing is I want to be able to eliminate as many things that divide us than it does unite us, and I think that's important for us to be able to be aware of the things that do divide us, whether it's through our own, whether it's self-inflicted or whether it has been imposed generationally. So yeah, and religion is one of those things. Unfortunately, it just is. It creates more divide than it does unity. And we as African people, if we ever are going to come together, we actually need to seriously have an honest conversation and genuinely acknowledge the simple fact that it does divide. Like it just does, full stop, and it will. So unless if we're actually very, very serious about it, you need to leave that out the door and have the meeting that you're going to have for the pure purpose of organizing ourselves as the African people and as an African community here in Brisbane and here in Australia. We need to leave that out the door and just be 100% focused on seeing how can we build and establish ourselves. Yeah.
In saying that, you've brought a really great point. I think as a person, when you're trying to think about advancing yourself, you look at different means of saying, okay, what are we doing in this space? What are we doing in this space? Let's say in the fashion space, what are we doing in the fashion space? In terms of the technology space, what are we doing in it? What I tend to see is, in terms of a lot of African cultures, we are still more trying to hold on to careers that are really not benefiting us as per se, as an individual. And we're really not trying to give each other a chance. Everyone wants to say, you know what, I want to be the first, but nobody wants to be like, create that path, or like, I don't want to just be the first. I want to be all of us to be in this space. I want all of us to be in this space. And they'll act not as a gatekeeper, but they'll act as a person who is trying to prevent. I want to be just known as their own.
Yeah, so intersectionality, which just means that there are multiple disadvantages, forces of disadvantage that African women do experience. So the fact that they're black, the fact that they're probably from a low socioeconomic background or environment, the fact that just a stereotype that already does exist out there as well, and the fact that she is disadvantaged in terms of just being able to get into certain workplaces just because of her name, right? Just all of these things, all these different intersectionalities. And now when a black woman, when an African woman actually does make it, she really did have to work twice as hard. And when she does make it, she'll be happy, but at the same time, it sucks that she had to go through that. It sucks that she had to break through the stigma. It sucks that she had to deal with the stereotyping, the microaggression.
Yeah.
It sucks that she had to fight so hard just for her to be able to be in a position that she actually deserves because of her merit. Right? So, and then now when she gets into this position, she's protective about it because she knows how hard it took her to get to that place. So she may not be as open or as enthusiastic in terms of sharing the platform or sharing the access, because she had to work so hard to it to be able to get to where she's not, for just to be able to get the average, let's say, right? And then if she's not at the average and she's above average, she's just still had to work really hard, competing with men as well, who might not be as limited. So she may not want to share. It's extremely, women can be really, really cutthroat, and women can be very, very harsh when it comes to protecting something that they care about. They really, really can be. So they might not want to help another sister. They might not want to pass on the baton as well. They might not want to.
Because of how hard it was.
Because of how hard it was for her just to get to where she's at. You know?
Is that being afraid of someone maybe bringing them down, or
it's more of, yeah, like there's definitely a part of that, somebody taking their position that they work so hard for. So,
but is the plate not big enough for both of them though?
Well, it is, but access to it isn't made easy. Like again, going back to the whole conflict theory aspect, the whole concept of it is that there's scarce resources. That's not freaking true. There's literally enough for everyone to go around. Like, there's so much money that exists, but it's a concept. It's an idea that there isn't enough.
Right.
How does that make sense? Like, there is enough money. There is enough to be able to feed the world, be able to get people out of poverty. We all know that.
Yes, there is.
It's the way that it is because people want it to be the way that it is. So this woman who is in this position that she works so hard for is definitely more than enough for her. But in order for her the access for her to get there was not equitable, nor was it equal. It wasn't at all. So she's going to want to protect that, and she's going to want to gatekeep that. So that's one example of how that does play out. And then there's definitely psychological implications as well. Like, even just for an example, let's just look at our own home, our own continent, Africa. There's leaders that's been there for how long? Just like
it's independence. Some of them.
The leader of Nigeria or South Sudan, they've been there a long time. Even with
it's a big thing that is happening in South Sudan. Even the vice president was jailed.
Exactly, right? Yeah, like all of these things. It's all I believe it's all psychological problems. That's what they are, and they've been intergenerational and cross-cultural in terms of the African diaspora, and it comes out. And it is very, very apparent. It exists. It's a real thing. So it's about being conscious about that within yourself. And you simply may actually need to own up to the fact that you probably do have that. And maybe it's not a bad thing that you do have it. But you just need to ask yourself, is this what you want to be, a reflection of who you want to be? It's really that simple. But if you are going to be in a leadership position, it's not something that's negotiable. You don't get to decide to be in the position that you're in and not pass on the baton or gatekeep. You don't get to decide that. Leadership is not a right, it's a privilege. So on the individual level, to pretty much just ask yourself, how do you want to be? Who do you want to be? But on a leadership level, you need to understand that you don't like everything that you have access to as a leader is not yours to keep. You need to be a good steward of that. And your position is not a right, it's a privilege. You are meant to serve the people, not yourself. Doesn't mean that you can't scratch your own back. It doesn't mean that you can't look after yourself and provide for yourself. It's really far from it. It just means that don't abuse the power and authority and position that you're in. Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah, it's sad, but it's what it is. Like, it's just really what the situation is. But I generally just believe that it's just it's psychological problems that stems from maybe colonization. But there's multiple layers to it.
Multiple layers.
Yeah.
It's a very deep conversation, and I think it's a lot of things to even unpack, even from the answer that you gave, because it's, apart from it just being something that we can speak about here, it's very huge in terms of people's history, how people perceived each other, and how people even have been raised. Like, what sort of standards do they have? Someone who maybe came from, who is in Africa, they have a different mindset on how they see things going back in Africa to maybe how someone sees it here in Australia. So it's a huge conversation. If we was to start that conversation, it would be definitely. And for me, I think one of the questions I'm asking myself, like, how did this all come about? Because today we're talking about this. The last time the last time I spoke to you, we were talking about fashion. What's he doing with this? But now we're talking about a different side, you know?
Yeah. Well, look, this is why I say as well before about we can't just limit somebody to the identity at that in that particular environment, context, and time. We can't, because that's just not the totality of who we are. So, yeah.
And you've been learning. I mean, I think you've been doing a lot of things in that. I guess in your way of thinking, I can see that you have been thinking of other things. So, hey, it's always great to have a conversation with you, man. It's always a pleasure, and I like talking, just having a conversation, to be honest. I didn't even ask any questions in the book, because I know I just want to have a conversation and really be able to understand the next person who I'm talking to, like,
sure.
Because we are, at the end of the day, we are all humans. We're going through different things. We are thinking about different things. But if we just only go based on things that we already thought of, it just has to be a conversation, open conversation. And that's why I really enjoy just having a usual conversation without even having to ask any questions, but having a conversation to be able to say, what is our youth thinking, in this space? Who are we talking to? Because we can be so gravitated towards the title, what's the person does, but we don't really talk to the human,
That's true.
So
that's true.
Thank you for sharing that. It's a very interesting. You talking about all these things.
Yeah.
The Pan-Africanism.
Yeah. Well, look, it's what I'm orientating myself towards now. So even with what I'm thinking of doing for Praema, it's gonna stem from that. As well. Like, I'm really excited for what Praema will be doing, and obviously just some of the other projects as well that I am working on. So yeah, I'm excited, and I love our people, and I want the best. I want the best for our people, and you and I are in the best position to be able to do something about that. Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, the president of Mali and Niger, they're doing amazing stuff.
Indeed.
And I think this is the time to revolt. And you may not have to revolt physically, but revolt consciously, cognitively. Be aware, be consciously aware, apply critical thinking to yourself. And even some of these ideas and concepts that you believe in or you orientate yourself towards, are they your ideas or are these ideas of people that somebody told you, So, like, even like, let's say like juju or witchcraft and whatnot, that thing has been demonized, right? But if you were to look into it yourself, do you think that you might actually learn something about it that you didn't know, which would make you more open to it than you are?
Okay, that's a different conversation.
It is a different conversation.
For me, how I see it is a lot of the things have been probably maybe misunderstood, but on a lot of points though, how I understand it is that certain things can be put in that section where it's literally taboo, or not taboo per se, but are very, how I say it is very demonic, or things that's especially on in terms of bowing down to gods or worshiping certain gods or doing things that are to harm other people. Those are definitely always those are very, very bad things. And then on another side, then there's when you talk about herbs and
I'm sorry.
natural remedy.
Can I say something? I will say that there are two sides of these things, right? I would say that in terms of juju, black magic, witchcraft, whatever other names that's out there for it, we've been told more of the, I guess, let's say, bad side and the harmful and the destructive aspect of it. It probably is very, very real. The reason I say probably is because I've just never really experienced it. It's just more of what I've heard. But the truth is, we actually don't know the other side of it.
What's the other side of it?
Well, that's exactly. What is the other side of it? I don't entirely know.
Okay.
Else, it's the exact same thing as well. Well, let's look at Christianity. One side of it that we've been told has been more positive. But we know that Christianity also have a very long history of killing and abuse and manipulation. But which side are we told more about? It's not until you do your own research and do your own digging. And all of these things has been done in the name of God. Right? And the Crusaders did what they did in the name of God. The Catholic Church has done what it's done and continues to do what it's done. It continues to do what it does in the name of God. But you and I know more about the good aspect of Christianity than we do know about the bad. So with juju or witchcraft and whatnot, it's the exact same thing. We've been told one side of it, and then we implicitly have adopted that. We haven't actually looked at the other side of it, because the fear in which they wanted to exist within us has worked. It worked. We're too afraid. So, and that's just kind of like the whole concept about everything.
What's your understanding of it, though?
I don't know. All I know is that
you just start questioning.
Yeah, I just started questioning. All I know where I am right now in terms of it is I'm curious, and I'm open to wanting to learn what the other side of it is, and even the bad side of it as well. Like, I'm genuinely curious, but it's more of what's important here is is looking within and being able to actually see within yourself. Why do you actually reject something that you actually don't genuinely fully know? And you also need to be able to actually acknowledge the simple fact that you may not actually fully know that thing. You really, really, really do. And if you can, and maybe you may not get to a point where like, oh, I actually don't fully know and I want to know. That's complete. That's the, if you don't get there, that's completely fine. But I think what is sad is if you can't acknowledge within yourself that you actually don't fully know the two sides, and that maybe you're choosing just to go with what it is that you're being told instead of what it is that you know. There's a difference between knowing from reading and being told and watching versus knowing from experience. There is a difference. That is a different level of knowing. Because that's a knowing that you can own for yourself. And nobody can ever take away from you, ever. So, and I would just encourage us to be able to, I guess, be daring enough to apply critical thinking and brave enough to want to be curious to know these things and to question these things.
Okay.
And this is what I mean by we need to revolt. We need to revolt. Which we need to revolt against our way of thinking which may not be our own and deploy ourselves from that way of thinking.
Oh man, we're looking forward to hearing more from this, because I think there's a lot of things to unpack, And,
yeah, there actually really is.
And oh man, and thank you very much, man, for sharing all these thoughts. I believe that these are very thought-provoking ideas, and they tend to make you think differently on certain things. And I think once you've already found out what you've already learned, because I think we learn from each other, let's share those ideas and be a beacon of bringing more knowledge. And I think we, as the new generation, or the now generation, we ought to look at things. We will question a lot of things, and we will ask a lot of things. We have so many unanswered questions, and I feel like the first thing, the beginning of knowing anything, is by asking, and also by really putting it into under a microscope and be able to say, what does this really mean, and what is this? Because a lot of things have been told to us. You only see it in this way or this other way, but we don't tend to question it. But it's really great to hear your thoughts on this, and I really, really appreciate you making the time to be here to really discuss on things that's or thoughts that you feel going to bring a light, and going to be able to shed a light on certain factors apart from everything that you do, and just being able to have a conversation. I want to thank you for that. So
thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And thank you very much for all our viewers who have been viewing Inspire Others and listening to the podcast. You can find this podcast on Spotify, and also you can find videos of it on YouTube. And then we also have Inspire Others podcast clips on Instagram, and few on also TikTok. So thank you very much to Peter Sambia. The first time I met him, I was like, Peter, well, Sambia, but
Yeah.
but it's Peter Sambia. But
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Well, now I'm wanting to go by Gènèsá.
Gènèsá. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't really understand.
Yeah. So that's my it's just my other name in my language, which is Pazande.
Pazande.
So I'm Zande. And yeah, Gènèsá, yeah, which it means one way. Yeah, and it's pronounced Gènèsá. It's pronounced Gènèsá. But yeah, you can say Gènèsá or you can say Gènèsá. So yeah.
All right, thank you very much to Gènèsá for sharing his very thought-provoking ideas. And thank you very much for everyone for listening and watching. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gènèsá.